So thank you so much, and we'll start off from where we left. So I'll just remind the point again that, sometimes the child perceives the information incorrectly.
Hmm.
And, it's about trusting whatever comes your way. And if that information is wrong, you will naturally, also behave in a very wrong way. So in this, I think our movies and a lot of the ads that play on television, on social media, on Instagram or YouTube, it plays a very, very big role. Because like you
Hmm.
said, that song, and like that, there are so many other songs which have very disturbing lyrics, or
Hmm.
the maybe the choreography is in such a manner that it is very derogatory, or it's sort of objectifying the woman, or the other way around, it's objectifying the man. So what I feel is that a lot of the crimes that happen at a very young age, let's say a child who
View.
is a boy who is 14 years old, 15 years old, we are hearing juvenile
Delinquent.
cases for
Hmm.
abuse of people, of children who are so young, and
Hmm.
so young that it's hard to believe that they even know what they're doing. And
Hmm.
it's even for the other way around, the victims. I feel that because they do not have any kind of information or knowledge, they somehow do not know how to explain it, how to express what has happened, because
Hmm.
there is a lack of vocabulary. For example,
Hmm.
if someone is groping you, the child will not know what it means. Or if someone
Hmm.
is touching you inappropriately or kissing you inappropriately, for a 13 or 14-year-old child, girl or boy, first they need to know what this is and what it can lead to, or if
Hmm.
this is right or wrong. Just, explaining wrong touch, bad touch, and good touch, it sort of is not enough after a point, because
Hmm.
you need to know that this is something dangerous, and you need to
Hmm.
call out for help, and this is the way you can call out for help. So
Hmm.
because of that lack of knowledge, a I think the crime level at that age is not stopping, it's somewhere just increasing over the years. And b, the victims have no sense of vocabulary as to how to explain and how to tell, because of course, if it's something sexual, there's again that attached taboo and stigma to it, that you have to be ashamed of it, you have to feel guilty
Hmm.
about it, and it's
Hmm.
not something to be talked about at home. So all of those things sort of psychologically affect you so much that you end up repressing your feelings. You end up bottling up to an extent where after many, many years, you get to know that you are in depression, or let's say you have been through a childhood trauma, and it eventually turns into a childhood trauma. So do you feel that this kind of lack of knowledge leading to a this kind of a situation, which is so dangerous, can actually have an impact on a whole generation? Because
Hmm.
naturally, it is somewhere affecting our generation, and I'm pretty sure in the next few years it's just going to aggravate more.
Hmm. Yeah, I think right now we are in this age. We this whole lack of sex education is completely dangerous because during our age, that what you said is we have to go and figure out a magazine, or someone in a school getting a magazine which where this whole idea of sex is there, or someone got an information from internet. Very few people actually had internet access, so it was still a little bit of much more not so prone. But here today, when we are in this age where every each and every child in school has internet, has smartphones, this is more dangerous. The lack of sex education is more dangerous. Now again, when we this whole idea of here, I just want to bring this whole topic of how our social media, not only social media, our whole media platforms, we came with this idea of male gaze. You know, how
Hmm.
how do we see these movies when they are being made, or advertisements being made? These advertisements, these movies, and children grow up learning, seeing all that. Like you see a women, and a mother is different, your girlfriend has to be different, and your wife has to be different. How do we learn all this? It is mostly from media, mostly from the movies, or advertisements and all. Like, for example, when once there was whole idea that menstruation, the pads, sanitary pads, when advertisements happen, they usually, what they do, they put a blue color.
Blue color.
Blue color. So later on they started, now if you see, they started showing it's red. That is a real portrayal. Like, why is a sanitary pad, when they're advertising it, why are they showing blue? Because students or children need to know the reality. Like, when our mothers used to menstruate when we were young and we don't know, we never saw their pads, we never learned about it. It was always something kept that is kept hidden. It is just they show that, no, don't touch me, because for next 3 days don't sleep with me. So we are somehow always around this lack of education, lack of things. And yes, obviously this impacts the whole generation. There are many a times they feel that, if this touch that you said, the good touch and bad touch, that girls need to be taught, but also boys need to be taught about it. It is not only just, the girls are being abused, even boys
Yeah.
are getting abused.
Yeah.
Even boys should know about all that, should know about their bodies, but yes, to the right direction, to the right path. And for this reason, I feel it is compulsory for parents, for teachers, to actually have a workshop. It's a compulsory for schools to actually have workshop for parents and teachers first, so that they can educate, or they can guide them to read a proper book, or to
Hmm.
read to see a proper YouTube channel, or what to exactly to see, how to see the body, how to see this whole act of sex or sexuality from a positive side, not from something that if a child starts exploring about sex through a porn site, obviously he or she will have that kind of an idea that sex is this,
Yeah.
or women's body. And especially when we talk about women's body, it is mostly movies, how they show when Priyanka Chopra or any other actress, they come out from the beach and they wearing a bikini, and that's the whole idea that this is sexy, right? We don't show someone who is plumpy, someone who is healthy, or as sexy, right? How these movies, or how these media has been showcasing what is sexy,
Yeah.
or what is a girlfriend material, what is a husband material, what is wife material. So we have, in a very way, in different ways, different lenses, I think we have somehow categorized what is sex, or what is a relationship of bodies and sex. So I think sex education is very much compulsory for both, for parents, teachers, and finally students.
Yeah.
It is a must compulsory thing that right now we need to introduce at home and in schools. We need to actually come out of this whole taboo thing about sex, about body. It is something that we eat. It's like the food we're eating, the dress we want to wear. So I think it should be a normalization of conversation. Like what we are like right now, we can so much easily converse between, about sex or sexuality or sexual desire. Why not among children? Why not introduce it? That it is, and one of the important factor, it's a biological change that will happen to your body. And yeah, there has to be a right way of showcasing what exactly is this, I
And
think.
not just about this, I feel it's also important to talk about sexual health. That, what all kinds of ways are there to prevent a sexual disease. Or let's
Mm,
say, we all know that, condoms are available, contraceptives are available everywhere. There are ads shown on television, on YouTube, on social media about it. But I remember once, it's a very funny story. This condom ad was being shown on television, and it was so weird that at that time, let's say 10, 15 years ago, even ads were so discreet about it, that they'll show
ah,
all random things in the whole thing, or in the whole 20, 30 seconds, and just in the end they'll show the product. And as a
mm,
young child, I was so confused what is happening,
is that,
because
huh?
what is usually when an ad starts, you get to know it's a food ad, it's a drink ad, or whatever it is. Even pads, a sanitary pad ad is so upright. It's, you know what it is happening from the beginning. But a condom
mm,
ad is so weird. Like initially, when it probably like some years ago, and I remember asking my parents that what is this ad, and they were
mm.
like, "Kuch nahi, kuch nahi."
Which,
Like
huh?
it's not
Exactly.
important. So many years ago, after that, after that time, after many years, that same ad was playing, and then I understood, because obviously I have also aged by that time. But
Definitely, huh?
what I found so weird was that it's a good thing that
Mm,
condoms are saving so many people from potential diseases, from unwanted pregnancies, and from so many other things. And I think there are two, three movies also which are being made, like full-fledged
mm,
mainstream movies which have come out on what are the importance of using contraceptives and why is it important. So all of these things also become a part of that sex education, like you mentioned, in the
mm,
right at the beginning, that it's not just limited to sex as an act, but there's
mm,
so much more to it, and all of those information are also very crucial, because
mm,
it's like that famous saying, prevention is always better than cure. It's always better to know something beforehand rather than wait for something to happen, and then you're like, oh, I wish somebody would have told me. I wish
yeah.
I was not that delusional for all these years. Because
Mm,
that's also what porn sites do to your head. It makes you believe that sex is always so romanticized, or it's so glamorous, like it's
mm,
shown in the movies. But when a person is watching all of those things without any back information or knowledge, you never know what kind of an image or schema that's getting created into their heads, because that's what that's the perception with which you walk out into the world, and that's how
mm,
you start looking at the woman only. That whoever is not fitting that image, who that image in the movie or that image on the internet, is not a perfect woman, is not
mm,
a perfect man also. Like I know a lot of girls who say that no, women bodies are supposed to be our body, our life, our choice, all of those things. But when it comes to the kind of a man that you want, it has to be the tall, dark, handsome. He has to have six
absolutely.
pack
Huh.
abs. He has to have hair like Kartik Aaryan. He has to have eyes
Mm,
like Hrithik Roshan. It has to be a full package. But so you are also in a way, even in your head, you have that list that that this is what
constructed.
a
Huh.
good, perfect guy should look like, and this is a guy who can
Absolutely.
take care of you, who can
Huh.
who's a man enough to start a family with. Other men are not men. If a man is he has a small
Mm,
he's shorter than you, or if he's someone who's not muscular, then that
mm,
person is not a man only. ये तो इसका मतलब they're like, no, no, this is he's not my type. There's no
exactly.
type. There's no type. You're just so delusional. But by the
Huh.
time we realize that this image was something just created by our false information around us, it's too late. You're
Mm,
already,
we
let's
have
say,
internalized it.
yeah, it's so, it's so deep rooted in your system,
Mm,
you can't undo it.
mm,
And this is also something that, leads me to the next point, which is that our movies and the way internet earlier worked, it has also internalized somewhere our way of viewing sexuality or different
mm,
sexual orientations. Because as far as I remember, in the early 2000s or just 2000 to 2010, all the mainstream movies had a particular character who would be represented as a homosexual or as somebody who is not straight, but that character would be very, very comical, somebody who's
mm,
not respected in the movie at all.
mm,
Nobody takes
mm,
them seriously, wears very, very weird, vibrant, multicolored clothes. Like I
mm.
remember one was Bobby Darling. I think she was there
Yeah,
in so many movies,
so
and
many
in
movies.
every movie her character was the same. Nobody
Mm,
took her seriously, and she was just like this side squeeze in every movie where it was it was fed to the audience that this is a person you have to laugh at all the time.
absolutely.
And like
Mm,
that, there are so many other movies in Kalona who also, I think there's one character who is like that. I might be wrong, but as far as I remember, there is. So, from there, when we now start fighting for 377 and we are fighting for rights of
mm,
homosexual people and for their correct representation, but these are all family movies. These are all
mm,
movies that you watch with young kids, young adults. So naturally, their image about, gays and lesbians are also going to be like that. That,
mm,
these are people you need to laugh at, or these are
mm,
people you need to, ridicule all the time. And
mm,
when I actually look back on my school time, we were never told anything about homosexuality or anything about that, you can be anything other than just man or a woman. Like there's no other orientation that you can have. But it's
mm,
like a sin. It's a
mm.
sin to even think that, you can have feelings for a girl, or a boy can have feelings for a boy, or any other thing for that matter.
Any other? Mm,
But at that time also, I had girls in my class, I had girls in my batch who would raise this point at multiple occasions that, why don't we talk about homosexuality in school? Why is there no open conversation? Or even if it is wrong, give us a logical explanation. Tell us what it is. थोड़ा सा समझाओ, थोड़ा सा
mm,
बताओ कि ये basically let us understand first and then we can decide whether it's right or wrong. First, give the information. But
mm,
in even today, I feel there's no proper source or channel through which sexual orientation can also be explained to
mm,
the younger generation, and let alone for them to understand it, on their own. On their own
mm,
is very dangerous. Like
mm,
what is happening across the world now, it's something going absolutely crazy. And if you do not have proper information about this, I think it can be a very, very it can lead to a very terrible situation for the person, because
mm,
you can become the joke that
mm,
this person does not know anything. Isko kuch
mm,
nahi pata. That is also a big thing in college. That, oh, you
mm.
don't know this also, you don't
Yeah.
know that also.
Mm,
So
mm,
what I would like you to, just share about is that these different sexual orientation, topics, or let's say just the fact that there are so much more options, or let's say there's so much more that a person can explore, know about. How do you introduce that to somebody who's absolutely unaware? Or is it even important to introduce this to a child who is, let's say, going to college or just about to enter college?
mm. Okay. So, before going into this homosexuality, something came to my mind
Huh.
is when you're talking about identity orientation. When when we're talking about menstruation, it just came to my mind is that there are so many sanitary pad ads. Okay, and we always see sanitary pad ads, different kind of brands. But what they are showing, that each brand is showing, is that when you wear that sanitary pad, you can do anything in the world. You can explore the world, you can go for hiking, and play badminton, dance, and everything. But I want to just, I find it really problematic when I find that no, this is not the real one. What about
Right.
the cramps? What about the pain that every girl faces? Why are we hiding that part of it? And why can't we just portray it in those kind of, like, somehow or the other, that how women had to face all that? also when they are knowing about periods. So even the boys, even the boys, only after they are having a affair, they are having a relationship, they are with the wife, they come to know that, okay, periods is also related with menstrual cramps, bodily change, mood swings. Even
Yeah.
mood swings are seen in a very negative way. Oh, again, she is that time of the month, usually they say. And it's a hidden thing. And women are asked to be stay normal, which absolutely is not fine, right? This is problematic. This is where we need to introduce it, along with giving sanitary pads. Sanitary pads obviously is important for your, for your health, for it's for cleanliness and all. That is the way why it was introduced. Before, earlier, people used to use cloth. So how cloth was not hygiene, and sanitary pads came in substitute of that cloth. But along with that, I always feel is that we need to introduce this part of it, that it's not always that wearing a sanitary pad is so, make it all comfortable for a
Yeah.
girl to go for a work normally, to stay normal. And because most of these men or girls, especially, they are known to be periods or, as or menstruation as something impure. That is the whole limited definition, nothing else.
Yeah.
Now coming to again homosexuality. How many, when we as young, we probably we never knew about homosexuality. I'm glad that you told that your school actually somehow someone brought the topic of homosexuality. We didn't know about homosexuality. There's only sexes two. One is male, one is female. That's it. That was the whole limited definition we knew. Later on, we came to know there is something called homosexuality. There is something called gay and lesbian. But from a very young age, we were taught to be all these as very much negative. How many of us, when we see the roads and we see someone, a trans man or trans women, we always categorize them as they will be like escorts, prostitutes, or someone we should
Yeah.
not go nearby,
Mm.
right? When we see transgender people, they might come and come near to you. So we usually, our parents usually like, no, don't go near them. They are dangerous. They might kidnap you. That is how we are oriented. That is how we have internalized our understanding. It is much later that we came to know about these sexual orientations. And that is why I'm saying that, it's sex education should be a proper class. So that's, how our whole idea of sexual orientation is connected with our moral values. Like to be married, to get married with a man as a girl, or for a man to get married with a woman, and then to have a family. Because, a marriage is not anything, partnership between two persons or two individuals for a lifelong, process. But it's ultimately how do we see marriage in our society as something to proceed with the next generation. So once you get married, it's a compulsion, or it's an accepted fear that you need to bear children. That is the next generation. How you're going for a next generation. So are we as a woman, like we when we are giving birth to a newborn baby, our whole body changes. So are we as a women actually allowed, or do we have that agency to decide, do we need a child? Right. So this is similar kind of things. When you talk about homosexuality, like women and a woman, what a women having sex with another woman, or women having a relationship with another woman, how the first thing that comes is how do you form a family with that? How do we define a family in that way? How they're going to bear children? So all these things are very much connected. How society sees a couple. So a couple is always needs to get married, needs to have children, and that is the definition of family. Even today, we don't consider a single mother to be a family. We do not consider if you're adopting a child to be a part of a family, right? So we have very restricted our whole definition of what is family, what is child, what is a body. So yes, I think sexual orientation, to discuss more about sexual orientation, we first actually need to understand our own. Are we really accepting our own orientation, or are we still hiding something?
Yeah.
So, and because of the fear of the society, do we have a space, or am I, with whom I'm talking, my friend, is he or she does have the space to actually talk about it, to want to,
Mm.
if he or she wants to come out of that whole, cocoon when they do not get the space. So am I giving them the space? So we do not have that space actually to discuss about homosexuality, to discuss about sexual orientation. So first of all, as an individual, we need to have that particular space, both at home and in schools,
Yeah.
to give a guidance, to know exactly where to go, how to proceed, what is our identity. So that is why I started this whole idea that sex education is not just about having physical sex, but it's something
Right.
else. It's about
Yeah.
your own identity. It's about knowing yourself, actually exploring yourself,
Yeah.
exploring your own desires. Yeah.
And also satisfying your curiosity,
Hmm.
because like you said that there's so much curiosity as a child, but also as you grow up, because you're seeing so many things happening around. You want to know
Hmm.
the truth. You want to know before forming an opinion. You at least want to know what's happening, what's out there, and
Hmm.
relevant information, not just getting something here and
Absolutely.
there, but you want to know answers from. And somewhere I feel like the field that I have chosen, that we have chosen, sociology, does provide you with that space that you can discuss this kind of a topic in your
Hmm.
subject matter, or there is a provision for discussion or conversation in the classroom also. Because when we were studying
Absolutely.
sociology of gender, I remember we had so many discussions in our class regarding homosexuality, and how it happened, where it started. So that was what I wanted to close with.
Yeah, and I
And
think because of that, today we are having a conversation so freely.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and this is required, this space is required. So, from a very young age, if we do not give any space, children will obviously take information from the sources and they will hide it. They will
uh,
hide this kind of information. They will not discuss. And until and unless you don't get the space to discuss about it freely, you will always go to the peers. You'll always go to the media, internet to figure out those things. And that's the wrong path that we are
hmm,
choosing. So somehow, yes, it is very important to give that, provide that space to discuss actually, to
yeah,
explore.
yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining. This was a very, I would say, meaningful, but at the same time intense conversation. I have to admit, this was one of my most difficult recordings that I've had, because I
Ah,
was so nervous throughout.
oh
I
my
mean,
God.
I have never been nervous with any of my guests, because usually they're all either people I know through
Mm.
friends, or they're my friends only, or people I work with. So they're usually, someone I have already had a discussion with, or
Ah,
of a similar age. But I was so nervous today, and I'm so glad it went well.
yeah,
But
I hope it went well. But yes, I
no,
think
no,
I even I enjoyed really well. I think we need this kind of spaces where we can talk all that, and I really encourage for like it's really glad that you come up with this kind of topics to discuss with, and people should actually get through to get this kind of group discussion. Actually, we should have a group discussion probably in future sometimes, where
yeah.
we different people, different with different orientations probably can come together and talk about their sexuality, talk about their desires.
Hmm.
So, that will be
That
really
can be a
interesting.
very that can be a
Yeah,
potential future topic. I'll
absolutely.
try to work on it. But thank
Yes,
you so much for today. It was a very, very good session, and I'm really glad that we could take out the time and do this. And
absolutely. I'm really glad.
I'm also learning a
Thank
lot,
you.
because the way you shared your views and the clarity with which you shared it, it actually shows that although I am also a teacher trainee, but I'm still yet so much to learn.
No,
So
even we learn like right now. I'm still learning. Like when you talk about sexuality, this is a very complicated topic, right? Now, it's not something that it comes, so even I am still exploring this whole ideas about sex and sexuality. So, and for me also, even for me to talk to a particular child about sex might be uncomfortable because we haven't got that kind of an education. Probably with you, probably with master students, it is very much comfortable.
Yeah.
But with someone who is a child, it is still uncomfortable. So for me, even I would love to have an orientation, how to go about, how to talk to them, right? So that
Yeah.
is more complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
it's
so much.
quite
I'll
nice
wrap
evening.
the video now, but
Absolutely. Thank you
I
so much.
thank you so much for joining.